Ethan was born into a world of silence, a world where the rustling of leaves, the songs of birds, and the whispers of wind were mysteries he would never know. But his inability to hear became his greatest strength. From an early age, he developed an extraordinary connection to the natural world. He could feel the vibrations of the earth beneath his feet, see the tiniest details others overlooked, and sense the presence of life even when it was hidden. His skill as a hunter grew renowned in his village. While others relied on sound to track prey, Ethan relied on sight, smell, and touch, becoming the most adept tracker in the region. Despite his talents, there was one place that even Ethan avoided: the Forest of Cries. The forest was spoken of in hushed tones, even among the bravest villagers. For generations, it had been shrouded in fear and mystery. Legends told of cries so haunting that they could strip a person of their sanity, turning them into wandering shells of their former selves. Some claimed the cries were the voices of the cursed dead, trapped in eternal torment. Others whispered that the forest was alive, feeding on the fears and regrets of those who entered. Whatever the truth, none who ventured into its depths returned unscathed, if they returned at all. Ethan had always been curious about the forest, but it wasn't until the illness of his younger sister Lily that he considered entering its forbidden borders. Lily had been bedridden for weeks, her body wasting away from a mysterious ailment no healer could cure. In desperation, an elder of the village told Ethan about the Heart of the Forest, an artifact said to hold immense power. It was rumored to lie hidden deep within the Forest of Cries, capable of granting miracles or exacting terrible costs. At first, Ethan dismissed the idea as foolish superstition. But as Lily's condition worsened, he found himself unable to ignore the whispers of hope. The forest's cries might drive others mad, but Ethan wondered, would they affect him at all? Without hearing, would he be immune to the curse? With a heavy heart and a fierce determination, Ethan prepared for the journey. He packed his bow, a quiver of arrows, a small knife, and enough provisions to last several days. Before he left, Lily pressed a simple carved pendant into his hand, her frail fingers trembling. It was a token of courage she had made for him years ago. He tied it around his neck, feeling its reassuring weight against his chest. The villagers gathered at the edge of the forest to watch him leave. Their expressions were a mix of awe and sorrow. One elder signed to him, "If you fail, we will lose not just you, but the light of hope you bring to this village." Ethan nodded solemnly and stepped into the shadowy embrace of the trees. The forest was unlike anything Ethan had experienced. The air was thick, almost tangible, pressing against his skin like a heavy shroud. The trees towered above him, their twisted branches forming a canopy that blocked out the sun. The ground beneath his boots was soft and uneven, littered with fallen leaves and roots that seemed to writhe like living things. Despite the silence in his world, Ethan could sense a vibration in the air, a low, pulsing energy that made his skin crawl. As he ventured deeper, the forest seemed to shift around him. Paths appeared and disappeared, as though the land itself were alive and trying to lead him astray. He relied on his sharp eyes and instincts, marking trees with small notches to avoid losing his way. Occasionally, he caught glimpses of movement in the distance, shadows flitting between the trees, too fast to identify. On the second day, Ethan encountered the first true test of his resolve. While crossing a narrow ravine, he spotted a figure crouched on the other side. It was a man, gaunt and wild-eyed, his clothes tattered and his skin pale as death. The man's lips moved frantically, as though he were screaming, but no sound reached Ethan. The hunter approached cautiously, holding up his hands in a gesture of peace. But as he drew closer, he noticed something chilling. The man's movements were erratic, his limbs twitching unnaturally. His eyes met Ethan's, and for a brief moment they seemed to plead for help. Then the man convulsed violently, collapsed, and dissolved into a cloud of black mist that drifted into the trees. Ethan's heart raced, but he forced himself to move forward. Whatever curse haunted the forest was real, and it was watching him. On the third day, Ethan discovered the trail. Broken branches, deep claw marks in the bark, and patches of trampled ground hinted at something massive moving through the forest. The trail led him to a clearing dominated by a stone obelisk, ancient and covered in carvings that glowed faintly in the dim light. Ethan approached cautiously, his fingers brushing the strange symbols. They vibrated under his touch, filling his mind with fragmented images. A village consumed by greed, a great betrayal, and the cries of the guilty echoing through the ages. As Ethan studied the obelisk, the ground beneath him trembled. From the shadows of the forest, figures emerged, humanoid shapes with hollow eyes and gaping mouths. They were the lost souls of the forest, their silent forms writhing as though in constant agony. Though he couldn't hear their cries, Ethan felt their despair as a deep, resonant hum in his chest. The figures began to close in, their movements slow but relentless. Ethan gripped his knife, his mind racing. He realized that the obelisk was the source of the forest's curse. If he could destroy it, he might free the trapped souls and uncover the forest's secrets. With a deep breath, he raised his knife and struck the obelisk. The carvings flared with light, and the ground shook violently. The shadowy figures recoiled, their forms flickering like dying flames. Ethan struck again and again, each blow sending waves of energy through the forest. The figures wailed silently, their anguish palpable, but Ethan refused to stop. Finally, with one last strike, the obelisk cracked. A blinding light erupted from within, engulfing the clearing. Ethan shielded his eyes as the shadowy figures dissolved into the light, their tortured forms finally at peace. When the light faded, the forest was transformed. The oppressive darkness had lifted, replaced by a serene, golden glow. The air felt lighter, and the trees no longer seemed menacing. Ethan collapsed to his knees, exhausted but alive. Around him, the forest was silent, not with the weight of fear, but with the peace of a long-held curse broken. Ethan made his way back to the village, carrying the story of what he had seen. The villagers listened in awe as he recounted the tale through gestures and expressions. Though they could never fully understand the trials he had faced, they saw the change in his eyes, a quiet wisdom born of courage and sacrifice. Lily recovered shortly after Ethan's return, her strength gradually restored as though the curse had lifted from her as well. Ethan never spoke of the obelisk's final moments or the visions it had shown him, but he carried its lesson in his heart, that even in the face of overwhelming darkness, the human spirit could endure, and redemption was always possible. From that day forward, the Forest of Cries became a place of legend, not as a place of fear, but as a testament to the power of hope and the courage of a deaf hunter who ventured into its depths and emerged victorious. If you found Ethan's journey inspiring, don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends to spread this incredible tale of hope and bravery. And if you love stories like this, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more gripping adventures that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Your support helps us bring these amazing tales to life.